This story comes from the pages of Battleworld Marvel Zombies issue number 2. Please support the official release. Also, our superhero training program is live. If you're ready to get your confidence back and finally get in the superhero shape you've always dreamed of, you can contact me in my consultation form in the video description below. The next issue opens back in the Deadlands, where we see Elsa Bloodstone casually digging into the corpse of an overturned zombie MODOK who was totally not cool getting violated like this. Bummed out that Major Bighead's chair levitation technology was no longer working, Elsa was interrupted by the mysterious child whom she found earlier in this story. Sensing an unending feeling of dread, the kid warned Elsa that they believed they were being followed. Delightfully yanking out a mix of metal and organs from MODOK's flesh, Elsa was happy to find some working weaponry, and told the kid there was nothing to worry about. All that was out here were the undead, and these versions were not capable of rational thought. She'd quickly be proven wrong though, after the kid gave her a peek through her binoculars, where they would spot a rather horrifying shadow creature with a staff, watching them from afar. Ignoring they were being stalked by what appeared to be the return of the slab guy, Elsa continued on with her current objective, which was pushing poor MODOK off a nearby cliff. The child would then ask Elsa if she knew who their pursuer was, where she'd quickly reply no, but not before she was haunted by the words of her abusive father, where he would tell her that wanting was the opiate of the weak. Ignoring this specter, Elsa then channeled all of her strength, managing to toss MODOK into the chasm below, where he full-on exploded, causing the entire mountain to come collapsing in on itself. Rather impressed at her own work, Elsa then told the kid that it was time to go, where of course the young one would say they were tired and had to rest. Absolutely not having this weakness, Elsa harshly told the child they were leaving, where they then asked the huntress if she ever turned off this cold and callous demeanor. This question then caused the woman to pause, where she once more reflected back during her time as a child, where she was on a hunt with her father. Taking a brief moment to look at a stuffed animal in a toy store, Elsa was then scolded by her dad, who told her to focus. Saying that she just wanted to look, the young girl was then interrupted by her father, who repeated the phrase from earlier that would forever haunt her, that wanting was the opiate of the weak. Tracking their latest monster, we discover that this creature was a bat demon, where we see Ulysses begin to profusely cough. Fearing for her father's health, Elsa would go to see if the man was alright, where he would rudely toss his own daughter aside, warning her not to help him. Looking on at her father from the frozen ground, Elsa, finally fed up with years of abuse at this man's hand, would tell Ulysses that she hated him. Briefly recovering from his coughing fit, the man would ask what the girl just said, where she would try to apologize, saying that she didn't mean it. However, Ulysses would know better. He knew Elsa meant every word, and actually commended the girl on this, saying that it was the most impressive thing she had said all day. He would then tell her to never make allowances. She was to concern herself only with protecting the good and destroying the vile, and to never make the weak and feeble her burden. Coming back to present day, we'd see that Elsa did not turn out nearly as cruel as her dad, as we'd see her giving the tired, mysterious child a piggyback ride as they trudged through the war-torn landscape. They would soon look to the skies, where they would carefully avoid the gaze of two full-on zombie pterodactyl men who were patrolling the nearby area. Admitting that it would be pretty cool to fly like them, the child then noticed that these two were identical beings, and asked just how this was possible. Elsa would then fill us in on Secret War lore that even I had no idea about, for in this zone, multiple realities converge into one, resulting in the zombie presence being in the billions. Therefore, there were multiple versions of the same being from different Marvel Zombies dimensions, all in one hellish place. God, Marvel Zombies is bad enough, but to have multiple variants of each zombie in the same location? Sign me out, bro. It's not even worth living at that point. The pair would then continue their journey, where they would step in what appeared to be a large puddle of blood. This would be far worse than that, as they would soon look up to see that it was the remains of a zombie Carnage spilling his symbiote upon the ground to place them in a trap. Telling the child not to move, the young one would panic and fire upon the monster, where the recoil from the gun was too great, sending them into the air and right into the clutches of one of the zombie dinosaur men. Annoyed that kids today never listen, Elsa then proceeded to use her greatest weapon once more during the story, which was her feet, where she proceeded to ghetto stomp into Carnage's chest cavity, where she then tore off his head Mortal Kombat style and tossed it directly at the dino, causing him to drop the child, where she safely caught them in her arms. The danger would not be quite over yet, as the zombified symbiote would announce that it had been freed, where we see a series of monstrous tendrils emerge from the puddle and close in upon the pair. Before the monster could dine, poor Carnage sadly got once more, where we'd see a burst of flame emerge from the skies, where it roasted the creature to pieces. Wondering just what the heck happened, the two were soon greeted by possibly one of the coolest sights in Marvel Zombies, where we'd see the X-Men Angel, donned in a sick trench coat and a flamethrower, descend to the ground, wishing the two an energetic howdy. Man, people sleep on this dude so much. He's awesome. Even sporting a cool Peaky Blinders-esque haircut, we'd see that this universe's version of Angel was part of the same military group that Elsa was, and was tasked with protecting the shield in this sector of the wasteland. We discovered that this unit was overseen by General Ross, aka the Red Hulk, who somehow managed to get himself killed over 2 years ago. Man, we got Red Hulk leading an army against the zombie apocalypse, and he's killed off panel? Not cool, Disney. This one is unforgivable. Asking just what Angel was doing this far out from his post, the man said he was out surveying the hordes and noticed that a huge group of them had migrated north. He also saw a huge pathway that had blasted through a landslide a ways back, which may or may not have been Elsa throwing MODOK through that mountain earlier in the story. Knowing exactly what Elsa was going to ask next, Angel confirmed he could only carry one of them at a time to safety. Still being a good, selfless person despite her rough exterior, Elsa ordered for Angel to take the child to the shield, who completely protested this, saying they wanted to stay here with Elsa and did not want to go with Angel, for his breath smelled like fart. It's a valid reason. The X-Man would then hand Elsa his tracker and promised her he would send retrieval information along with ammo as soon as he could. The kiddo would continue to protest, where Elsa would kindly remind them that she now only had 2 bullets left. She would tell them this was not their fault, but their best chance of survival was back of the shield, and she would come back to visit as soon as she got the chance. With tears in their eyes, the child would say they wanted to continue exploring with Elsa, where the hunter would nearly repeat her father's words on want. However, she would catch herself, not wanting to be like him, and told the young one that perhaps they could continue this journey some other time. Watching as Angel carried the child to safety, Elsa would once more think back to that night with her father. Having just killed the demon they were hunting, Ulysses would continue to cough, where Elsa would question him as she believed him to be what she thought immortal. Dad of the Year Ulysses would then call his own flesh and blood an idiot, saying he was immortal and that he had lived a millennia slaying evil in the name of good. where Elsa would slyly reply by saying that now he was coughing up blood. Believing it was his bloodstone that was poisoning him, the man then called his daughter a fool, saying there was simplicity only in strength, and it was this stone that was their strength, and was in fact their fate. Once more returning to the present, we'd see Elsa journey through the wasteland. Thinking back to the child's words from earlier in this tale, she'd take out her binoculars and look into the distance, where we'd see the same shadowy figure trailing her, watching her every move. As she reached for the binoculars, she realized she had mistakenly dropped the tracker that Angel had given her. Wondering just why the guy was taking so long to return with her ammunition, Elsa would realize just how deadly wrong things were. As she'd reach down to pick up the tracker, she'd realize this was not a tracker at all. This was merely a baseball in a metal shell. This man was not who he said he was. Sprinting through the pouring rainstorm, Elsa cursed herself for having not realized that this angel was a shapeshifter, and now had this helpless child in his grasp. Questioning just what to do, Elsa made her way to a mountaintop and thought back to her father's words once more, that a good hunter doesn't need to track. He knows where his prey is headed. Looking into the distance, Bloodstone would see a trail of red smoke pouring into the sky. Knowing this is exactly where she needed to go, Elsa ran towards the site, saying this was totally against the rules of civilized necromancy. The smoke would soon lead her to a camp full of undead, who surrounded what appeared to be a giant campfire. She would be met by a disturbing sight, which was a series of zombified heads on pikes who acted as patrols, saying they could smell nearby flesh. The other mobile zombies would go on the lookout, telling their boss they didn't see anything, where she would tell them to search again. We would see that this boss was a zombie Mystique, who was the one who had posed as Angel from before. She would mock the gullible Elsa and was quite delighted to have this child in her custody. She had already sliced off a piece of the kid's arm and was feasting on it. She said there was something special about this flesh and was going to savor every single piece of it. Horrified at what she just witnessed, Elsa soon heard a voice from behind her telling her not to cry. Asking who was there, the mystery would deepen, as Elsa would discover that this was a still human Deadpool, who was strung up in the air with his brain fully exposed. He warned her that these zombies were different. They were smart and extremely well fed.